I could not have imagined at the start of this Parliament that we would be asked to consider a bill that is so uniquely detrimental to our national security, to the British taxpayer, to the British Chagossian people, and to the environment. Not only are we ceding sovereignty of a critical overseas territory, but we are paying a huge financial cost for the privilege of doing so. We've heard much today about the cost of this deal, a cost which the government claims is 3.4 billion over 99 years, but in reality, as we have heard, is many, many times greater. Madam Deputy Speaker, this deal is unique. It will leave the UK strategically weaker in one of the most contested regions in the world, one that is likely to shape the future direction of geopolitics at a time when the world is more volatile than ever, with 2024 seeing the greatest number of conflicts around the globe since World War II. Madam Deputy Speaker, allow me to start with the finances of this deal. It took, as we have heard, a Freedom of Information Act for this government to level with the British people that this deal would in fact cost 35 billion, with some analysis even suggesting it could be as much as 47 billion pounds. It would have been far better for the government to have come clean over the true cost of the Chagos deal rather than trying accountancy tricks to pull the wool over our eyes. I would like to put into context the sheer size of 35 billion of taxpayers' money. That could be used for 10 Queen Elizabeth-class aircraft carriers, over half of the annual school's budget. It is the estimated cost of the entire of the Hinkley Point C nuclear reactor project, 70 hospitals, a 5% cut on income tax. The list could go on and on. Madam Deputy Speaker, we knew this anyway, but it is worth reiterating. When the Prime Minister negotiates, Britain loses. The hard-working people of Chester South and Eddisbury deserve a better return for the tax they pay and ought not to have to watch as this government signs away British sovereign territory. Adding to that, the omission from this bill of a money authorisation clause removing Parliament's ability to vote on sending billions of pounds to Mauritius is completely wrong. This leads me, Madam Deputy Speaker, to the strategic implications of this bill. The Diego Garcia base is one of 7 permanent points of presence within the Indo-Pacific region, and owing to its position in the middle of the Indian Ocean and proximity to shipping lines, it is vital for our national security and regional influence. It is a key base from which our armed forces can protect us from hostile states and non-state actors and activity. So it is deeply concerning from a security standpoint that we are losing sovereignty over this base and the influence we could exert from it. According to the treaty, the UK is compelled to notify the Mauritian government on certain aspects of military activity in and around the base. This does not make us safer. If we think back to earlier this year when our American allies conducted strikes against Iran. What if the UK were to support our allies in such action? This deal would require, as we have heard, for us to expeditiously inform the Mauritian government of our actions. I appreciate that the Minister has clarified that no advance notification is required, although one might ask why we should have to inform Mauritius at all, expeditiously or not. But perhaps the Minister can clarify whether the provisions under Annex 1, Paragraph 2 extend also to Special Forces operations. And if so, what guarantee there would be that highly sensitive security information would not end up in the hands of our adversaries? Madam Deputy Speaker, China, Iran and Russia have all welcomed the deal. As the Shadow Minister highlighted, the Chinese ambassador to Mauritius congratulated the government of Mauritius and the Deputy Prime Minister in a press conference following the deal's announcement, thanking China for its support throughout the process. China do not do geopolitical favours, so its support should cause the government to pause and reflect. Iran has also welcomed the deal, and we know that they are forging closer ties with Russia. So perhaps in his closing remarks, the Minister can share with the House how ministers on that side have somehow come to a different conclusion and deduced instead that all 3 of these geopolitical threats are opposed to this deal. But it's not just the huge financial cost, nor the significant security implications of this deal that are deeply concerning, but also that it has ignored the voices of British Chagossians. In June this year, I met with people from the Chagossian community who came to Parliament to speak with MPs, and their message was very clear. They feel let down by a lack of transparency and consultation and are deeply uncertain about their future. And it's not surprising that they feel ignored and betrayed, given that the former Foreign Secretary met them only once with the Chagossians on a deal that is so significant for them. The government must put this right and take the opportunity to implement a recommendation put forward by the House of Lords International Relations and Defence Committee and International Agreements Committee, outlined in a report that looked at the treaty. They urged the government to, and I quote, enhance Chagossian engagement by establishing a formal consultation mechanism with the Chagossian community to monitor the agreement's implementation and ensure their meaningful inclusion in decision-making. So can the Minister confirm if this recommendation has been implemented? This deal provides British Chagossians with no guaranteed rights of return to their homeland. I therefore ask the Minister to state clearly whether the government has negotiated an agreement in which British Chagossians' rights to visit the Chagos Islands are left entirely in the hands of Mauritius, and whether it is indeed feasible that they may be refused the right to return or even visit. That would be wholly unacceptable. Further, the Chagos Trust Fund, established as part of the UK-Mauritius Treaty and financed by the UK, is to be distributed solely under the control of Mauritius. Yet this bill contains no provisions to monitor whether the rights of British Chagossians are upheld, nor does it create any statutory oversight of the trust fund. Have ministers secured from the government of Mauritius any firm commitment that British Chagossians will have a formal role in the oversight and decision-making regarding the fund? Indeed, why was a model of joint governance not agreed, ensuring that British Chagossians themselves have a voice in how the fund is governed and can benefit directly from it? Madam Deputy Speaker, add to all this that the deal currently risks leaving a pristine marine environment unprotected. The waters around the Chagos are home to 220 species of coral, 855 species of fish, and 355 species of mollusks. These waters have been fully protected since 2010 by the UK government. And whilst it's welcomed that there is a commitment to continue with a marine protected area, we don't know what levels of support Mauritius will put into the MPA, and indeed there are real concerns that the Mauritian government does not have the capabilities to monitor, enforce and protect these waters, with no assurance that there will be no fishing and trawling in these waters. So from the eye-watering cost to the grave security risks to the betrayal of British Chagossians and to the environmental damage this treaty risks unleashing, this is a uniquely bad deal. It asks us to pay more, to risk more, and to gain nothing in return. For the sake of our national interests and our duty to the Chagossian people, I cannot support this bill.